Hello, good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. I am really happy to have some of our learning and development professionals, experts join me today to do another episode of Percepta Prep. And today we are talking about, the work from home virtual environment, how to deal with common distractions, and giving some really great practical tips. And before we get into some of those common areas, pets, kids, things of that nature, we want to just talk a little bit as a group about the importance of, building trust, building relationships, and, maybe how we do that in those beginning stages of an employee's journey here with Percepta. So, Nicole, if you wouldn't mind, maybe talk to us a little bit about how we can build relationships and trust early on.
Absolutely. In the training environment, trust is so important. It's because we're asking you, the new agent, to trust us and the process we provide to you to lead you to success in your new role. So we do that through icebreakers and games in class to really build that trust and get you comfortable with communicating. Now, when we are checking in after teaching a concept, we know you will share your honest feelings about what you've learned. So we can review or then move on to the next topic. So it kind of works the same way when an issue pops up at home. We want you to feel comfortable reaching out and setting expectations for your trainer so we can then know how to support.
Definitely. And I know one of the things we talked about leading up to this was how important it is and how you can actually build trust with your trainer by asking for help and raising your hand and saying, hey, you're moving too fast, or I had to pop out for a second. Could somebody stay back and help me out with that topic? So asking for help is another great way to build trust and build relationships. So let's talk about some of the basics before we get into some of the common areas, cameras and communication, maybe building off just a little bit of what Nicole had to say there. Kristen, do you want to talk a little bit about some of those other just basic 101 stuff to build trust and communication?
Yeah, there's a couple of easy ways, in the virtual environment to really continue to build that trust and communication with your trainer, right? So one is, we ask folks to, share their video, right? Turn your camera on. We want to engage with you. We want to see you. We want to build that connection, even though we're in a virtual environment. And we use the chat functionality a lot to communicate, right? It's an easy way to communicate without talking over each other. That shows respect and things of that nature. And there's a private chat functionality as well, so that maybe you don't want to share, something with the entire group, but you want to communicate something directly and privately with your trainer. You have the ability to do that as well. So there are times when we'll, use that chat functionality as a group to answer questions and respond to, different thoughts and ideas. But then you also have the ability to chat privately with your trainer.
Perfect. Love the comment about using the private chat versus the group chat. That's great. Did anybody else have anything to add in around this topic before we get into some of the main areas? All right. One other thing too, Kristen, I love that you touched on respect. I know that we work really hard as members of the HR team, members of the learning and development team to treat everybody with dignity and respect. And we understand people are going to have distractions at home. And we also ask that, if you are a new employee with us, really over communicating is the best way to show respect to your trainer and your fellow learners, just so we can support one another. So, all right. So, Nicole, you are going to talk to us about family and some of the distractions that it can occur. And you've got some great tips. So, talk to us about family.
Absolutely. So there are a variety of people in our household generally, and how do we manage that, but specifically when we're dealing with our little ones, right? I have a little one at home as well. He's 5, so there's a variety of things that I do to kind of mitigate those distractions. The first thing I'd say is really check in with who is available in your house to support. Do you have a preteen who can make breakfast for your younger ones? Do you have a spouse where you guys can switch off and take care of certain tasks for your kids during the day? So really make sure you're doing that, and with that, create a kind of plan. Right. So a plan allows you to set expectations, and for not only those who can help you in your in home support system, but also setting those expectations for your kids. All right, so that can include creating a schedule. I know for my 5-year-old, I've created a kind of schedule where, I have pictures of each activity that he can move on to from one to the next, whether that's cleaning up his room and then moving on to, say, a learning activity like reading or painting. So he just has an idea of what comes next, and that just sets those expectations for him and makes him more comfortable, and me comfortable, because I know what's happening, right? And then we also want to set boundaries. So, for example, for school age children, a closed door means no coming in, right? If you're doing a really important task for work, or you can even post a sign on your workspace so they know when it's safe and okay to approach. You can even consider setting up a kind of snack and drink station for those who can help themselves. And as your kids get older, or just in general, we know that they're going to need your attention periodically. So honestly, the key here is just clear communication with your trainer. On day one, your trainer will establish how they want you to communicate, whether it's through Zoom chat or text. An example would be putting BRB in the Zoom chat privately to your trainer. And then it's about how you're stepping away, right? So you want to make sure that you mute your mic and turn off your camera and then step away. And that lessens the distraction for the entire class, right? And the same kind of goes for when you're coming back. You want to make sure that you're already seated and ready to go before turning that camera on. And if it turns into something longer, because to me, BRB means 5 minutes, but if it looks like it is going to take longer to handle what you need to handle, make sure you're following up with your trainer. Again, going back to really setting those expectations. And in the virtual environment, it's really important to provide those consistent updates. So yeah, that's what I got.
So good. I would also say that you have to, we talk about this kind of every week about knowing your audience and what's appropriate and not appropriate. I'm somebody who oftentimes will have a parent or a mom in the background sometimes. And sometimes it's totally fine for them to walk on by as they're, doing laundry or something.
Right.
And other times it's like, okay, I'm in the middle of a meeting. I need to just, go off camera for a second because I see her coming, or my dad, who's even harder to control. But whether it's roommates, parents, family members, kids, know your audience and know when you should, when it's appropriate to just go ahead and turn that camera off. So great stuff, Nicole.
Exactly.
I feel like I said this yesterday. We could probably do a workshop on the visual diagramming you're doing for your
Yes,
little
I'll bring it
one.
over.
Yes,
That'd be great.
awesome. All right, the next area that we're going to talk about are pets. You may see mine pop up in a second and bark. You never know. Katie, why don't you talk to us about pets?
Of course. Well, yes. So in this transition to working from home, I piggyback a lot of what Neely and Nicole had to say, as well as Kristen, a lot of that open communication with your trainer. But, pets are part of the family. We do welcome them. It's just that time and a place of when it becomes a little distracting. But I will say I have a little dog myself. Every once in a while, she might pop up in the background. But it all depends on the type of training or the meeting that you're in. While we're in training, sometimes the pet coming across the screen or walking in the background, it relieves some of that tension that we have in the class. Sometimes it's used as good icebreakers, and, sometimes we like to see their little cute, happy faces. But every once in a while, we might hear a bark. We might, see the cat taking over the screen. Whatever it may be, it's just using that communication, knowing when to turn the camera off. If we're doing a meeting with certain clients or our operation partners on the call, we might put the animals in the bedroom with their favorite toys and a nice treat. That way, we can bring them back out after break. Or if somebody's walking past the window, maybe we'll put a quick chat into that chat feature as well with your trainer of the quick BRB. It's just 3 letters. And then turning off the camera and then being camera ready and coming back. Whatever that looks like, we kind of work together. We boil back down to that respect, that open communication. And it's really all I got to say about those cute little pets we have.
Thank you so much. I feel like some of our pets have become honorary members of our teams
They have.
now. Yeah. So thank you so much for sharing. Brian, we're going to give you the especially tough one. Technology and internet. Talk to us a little bit about how to handle that.
Well, that's one thing that, just pops up out of the blue. Everything's going along fine. And next thing you know, the power blips and it's just long enough to have to reset the modem. The computers all have to reset. Well, we all experience it, whether we're at home or whether we're out at the store and come back and everything with a timer on it's flashing away. What do? We go through and reset our timers and go on about our day. Well, same thing with the power goes out. It's simple. You text your trainer that, hey, power went out. I'll be back in. We understand why you just disappeared out of the meeting. And within a few minutes, everything's back up. Your face shows back up on there. We see you back in and we just move along. We may have to back up and cover something that you may have missed while you weren't in there, but it's an understandable occurrence that happens to everybody at any time. So we're well used to working around those. Everybody that is out there right now, you have forgotten 1 or 2 passwords in your time. Well, we deal with the same thing on a daily basis, but we have tips and tricks and password resets that can get you back up and running in a matter of minutes. So it doesn't cause a long delay in anything or a disruption. The computer issues, we all know they have a mind of their own. As best as we try to learn them, I consider myself pretty good on it, but then there are things that happen where our IT department is able to jump in a moment's notice, and they can help us out and reset stuff. They're available 24/7. We just reach out to them. I have a person who's had computer issues. We try and diagnose it without diving in. And after that, they can log right into, oh, there's a little puppy. They log right back in, go into the person's machine, do their fixing, and we continue to move on. So all the things everybody, sometimes think it's real detrimental, but it's usually just a matter of minutes and everybody's back up and running. So it doesn't cause such a big heartache and a problem as anybody would normally think it would.
Yeah. Couple comments. One is I want to give like the biggest shout out to everybody in L&D, every single trainer who I swear your secondary title should be IT technical support.
Yes.
The amount of patience that you guys demonstrate is admirable. And I mean, my gosh, it's a lot. So thank you for that so much. And one of the other things I've noticed is because technical glitches, difficulties are so common and uncontrollable sometimes. I've noticed on, meetings lately where maybe I'm sharing and I have an internet problem and I go out and a colleague jumps in and they keep talking for me, and you keep it rolling. And so I think it's been really great to see how we're evolving with this and dealing with those quiet moments or whatever happens by just rolling with it, because there's no way around it. Great stuff, Brian. And Chris, oh, see, there's my dog, just jumped up there. Boo.
Here to join the party.
Yeah, he's joining. All right, Kristen, let's take this home with common other household distractions that we may have.
Oh, yeah. So, I give the example that I live in an apartment and, it's very easy for me to have a maintenance, folks come out to fix something. I've had dishwasher stuff and my kitchen is right there. So if somebody's got to come in and fix my dishwasher, they're in my camera view for long periods of time. And so we understand, being in a virtual environment, that things are going on. We've talked about family, we've talked about pets, but in some cases it could be Amazon deliveries. I know since I've been working from home, I get deliveries all the time. So it's just a matter of communicating if I'm in a meeting or if I'm doing a presentation, right? If I got to step away because someone's banging on my door, I just communicate. Hey, I've got to step away for just a minute so I can open the door and let my maintenance person in, or just to grab this delivery. I do sit right in front of my window, so sometimes I can just ask them to leave the delivery there. But those are distractions that can happen. I had an agent that shared with me, she was actually, working with a customer, on the phone with a customer, and her home had been flooded, and her landlord had sent the plumber to come in and take care of that. But of course, maintenance, plumbers, they all work the same schedule that we do, 8 to 5, right? Just about. And so that's when they're working. And so that's when we've got to be able to be flexible as well. So she took she was on a call with a customer and let the customer know, hey, Mr. Customer, this is my situation. I have to let this person in so that they can start working on the plumbing in my home. So if you don't mind, just bear with me just a couple minutes and maybe an extended hold. And the customer was so understanding, right? We're working in a virtual environment, but we're not the only ones. Our customers understand that we are still in the middle of a pandemic and our lives are different. We are living in a new normal. They completely understand that. So as long as you are communicating and setting clear expectations, we're just fine. And that's how, that kind of just goes back to the theme of building that trust and building that respect with those that we're working with.
Definitely real life, right? So, great example too around, customer calls. That's so real. That happens. And I want to thank you guys all for joining me today, and for sharing such great tips, with those that are, watching either now or later on. Yeah, why don't you all join me again sometime soon. Thank you again and have a wonderful rest of your Friday and awesome weekend, guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for having us.